What's going on, friends? SeanPierceJohnson here, and welcome back to Stompbox Saturday. Today on the show, we have quite possibly the most magical pedal we've ever had on the stompin' block. It is Hydra by Meris. Now, I got my first taste of Meris about a year ago. My buddy Chad Jennings of Jennings Guitar fame was dropping off the Navigator that you've seen me use. Actually, you just saw me use it in the intro of this video. And he mentioned that Meris had just given him a bunch of their pedals to try out. The point is, he lent me his Polymoon, and I was blown away by the kind of tones that I could get out of it. Definitely not your standard delay pedal fare. But at the same time, one has to look at their catalog and see that it is meant for a certain type of player. That certain type of player, I'm not necessarily that guy. I'm much more of a straight-ahead rock guy. But you continue hearing people say great things about these pedals, from Stefan at the Pedal Zone, who these Meris pedals do very well for. Blake at the Tone Mob, and he's enjoying them. And you can't help but wonder, maybe I could get something out of this after all. And then I saw Hydra and knew I had to play one myself. I love pitch shifters, I love harmonizers, and I love the things that you can do with pitch shifters and harmonizers to make some quite magical sounds. Enough yakking and musing on this. It's time to throw the pedal up on the screen and talk about the controls and what exactly you're gonna get out of Hydra. Let's start with the basics. The foot switches. Bypass on the right, tap tempo on the left. Above that, 3 pitch knobs, pitch 1, pitch 2, and pitch 3. Now this is where the harmony and the pitch shifting comes in. You can select different pitches of your original note, different harmonizations of your original note, from -2 octaves to -1/4, -1/3, a unison, going all the way up to 2 octaves above your original guitar note. And you have 3 different voices of that. So you could essentially play one note and set each of these knobs to basically make a harmony that sounds like you're playing a minor 7th chord. You could make it sound like it's playing a major triad with an octave above. You can set it to just be all octaves, all low octaves. The possibilities are really endless and gets into some nerdy music theory geekery, which can be rather fun if you're so inclined to do so. Then the 3 knobs above it. On the right, your mix knob. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's your wet-dry blend. Then microtune, which adds a subtle shifting and modulation to the harmony voices that give it kind of a chorus-like effect. Then we have the key knob on the left. Now this is really the smartest knob on the Hydra, because it allows you to tune the harmonies to the specific key that you're playing in. Now I've seen questions about this kind of control and what the importance and what the real big deal is of this. And that's because older harmonizer pedals tend to have spots on the guitar neck and spots in music where they don't always get you the truest pitch. They kind of warble in and out, or they're just stuck in this idea of, I must always harmonize a major third, I must always do this, I must always do that. They don't evolve with your music. They don't necessarily follow much theoretical knowledge, so to speak. But now, because the technology has become greater and has become a lot smarter in most ways, we're able to take this and go from C all the way through to B, and even have a chromatic mode, so that no matter what key we play in of the musical alphabet, every harmony that we get is as true to its theoretical correctness as possible. As if that weren't enough, since this is a digital pedal and these are digital controls, we have alternative secondary functions to each knob. So, by pressing and holding on this Alt button just above the tap tempo foot switch, turning the pitch knobs allows you to select a time differential, a delay time differential or subdivision to each of these harmony voices. You're turning it all the way up, you get that 1-to-1 delay time from the tap tempo, or you can have various fractions of that tapped tempo delay time. Basically meaning you could have just a straight delay in some preset sounds that you create, or you can just create these wonderful delayed cascades of pitches that recall Steve Vai's Ballerina 1221. I believe that's the fraction that he uses in that one. But that's really where a lot of the magic lies. Mix, the alternative control of that when you hold down the Alt button, is delay feedback. So in certain modes, you could create more washy kind of delay and harmony sounds. The micro tune, when it's held down with the Alt button, basically allows you to set the amount of pitch correction applied to the harmonies, either soft or hard pitch correction on the first half of the knob. But then once you go past 12, then you can start introducing a glide effect, which can basically get all kinds of synthy on you and is pretty darn fun. And then finally, with the key knob, the alternative control for that is it allows you to select the scale or mode with which you are harmonizing, and it optimizes your harmonies to that scale. Everything from major scales and minor scales to different variations of the pentatonic scale and other variations of minor, from harmonic to melodic. All kinds of crazy things to make sure that whatever you want to get out of Hydra, you can get out of it. Now, as if that weren't enough, there are 4 different delay modes in Hydra, which you can select with the button above the bypass foot switch. That button also happens to be the bypass LED. Pretty handy there. And each of them has a different effect over how the pitches are fed into the feedback loop of the delay and into your amplifiers. Yes, we are running in stereo today, so headphones might be a requirement for this one. Then there's MIDI, which we're not going to mess with today, but you can take a nice TRS cable like I have right here hooked up to my Mission Expression pedal down on the floor, and you can go between 2 different preset sounds from heel down to toe down without having to do any sort of complicated menu changes, any sort of press and hold save functions. It's very intuitive, very simple, and we've talked enough. It's time to hear this thing. So let's start with the basics. Let's focus first on the harmony side of Hydra. So with the mix at 12 o'clock and no delay times engaged on these voices, let's hear our clean tones. I'm running my orange rocker verb on one side of the mix and my boss katana on the right side of the mix. Let's hear those amps individually first. Sounds pretty good. I think they match pretty well together. I'm running the Nux Horseman as well. I kind of feel like that provides a little bit of glue that ties the two together. All right, let's check out the different harmonies in the key of C major. Probably -2 octaves right there, and boy is it low. And then straight up at 12 o'clock, you have a unison. I love that fifth. It's that power chord for every note, that sort of owner of a lonely heart deal. Yeah, it's just kind of a little fun thing. All right, keep going. Let's hear some of this other stuff. Ooh, a major 7. The tracking on this is really good. And there's our +1 octave. I'm just really impressed by how fast this pedal keeps up with your pitches. It doesn't really fart out at all. And it even follows your vibrato too. And I'm going a little extreme to try to illustrate a point here. Yeah, that's incredible. That's really nice. And then finally +2 octaves. So you can do all your sort of Tom Morello-y stuff. Yeah, I know. It's awesome. It's so much fun. And then, of course, you can start taking that idea of that one pitch and then expand upon it with 3 different voices. So let's have a little bit of fun. Let's take the C note and let's build a harmony of a major 7th chord. So we'll need a major 3rd. There we go. Now we need a 5th is kind of something that we need. The 5th is always a perfect interval, so it's not really going to matter too much, but it'll provide a little bit of weight to our triad. So far, so good. Now we need that major 7th in there. That's our octave. Sounds almost like a keyboard now. Pretty crazy, and it does very well. There's not a whole lot of like lost information in the harmony. It stays very true. Follows your playing very well. The tracking is great, and the pitches sound like they should. Now we are on loose pitch correction, so let's see what happens holding down the Alt button and turning the micro tune to just under 12 o'clock. That'll introduce hard pitch correction, so let's just hear the difference there. Seems a little bit tighter. Let me try bending a note. Interesting. Did you hear that? That's that hard pitch correction. It's kind of like how auto-tune is when it's turned up all the way and that effect is maxed. It just jumped to that pitch. But if we do loose, it follows your vibrato. Very, very interesting. Wow, that could come in handy for a lot. Let's go for something just a little bit more raucous and rock and roll here. Let's try for some low octaves. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off all of these. And let's do now, for the sake of it, A minor, the relative minor of C major. Slap on some distortion. Let's hear how heavy we can get with this thing. That's pretty cool. What if we introduced a little bit of this micro tune to add just a little bit of a subtle warble, back down the mix a bit? See? I guess a rocker can get something out of this and that's even at the most basic point. We haven't even gotten to the magical stuff yet. So I've conjured up a little random harmony. It's nothing too fancy. It's a fifth below my original note, a unison of the original note, and above a fifth from the original note. And this is how the clean tone sounds. Add on the Hydra. Make sure you return to D flat because that's the chord that I'm playing. Now let's start introducing some of these delay time things. Now this is really where we're going to start to hear the effects of the different delay modes. Each one has a sort of different way of processing our original pitch and our harmonies. So let's go ahead and start with the series and pitch feedback, which is going to be both LEDs off. Now I'm going to go ahead, press and hold on the Alt function button, and then turn the pitch knob of 1 up all the way. That's going to be 1 to 1 of my original tapped note, which will be... It's interesting how you can hear that play against. Now, I want this to be more of a cascading thing, so let's go 12 o'clock, which I believe is going to be half of our tapped tempo. Okay, that was a little too much fun. Let's go ahead and then now find something for pitch 2. I'm going to try to get it around about that 3/4 for a dotted eighth. Cool. Now let's turn up pitch 3. Make it slightly higher. Pretty cool. And that's only one repeat. So if we want a little bit more, press and hold on the Alt function, turn the mix knob to get a little bit more feedback. Gonna make it just a little bit wetter. Now let's add in some of that micro tune, because that might be kind of interesting. Did you hear that? that's fun. Now, let's just, for the sake of exploring it, let's hear the different delay modes of what we've just dialed in. Now, turning on series is basically going to feed pitch 1 and pitch 2 to the delay line, and then pitch 3 is going to go into the feedback mixer. And I don't really know quite how this is going to affect things. I'm just going to take a listen to it. Interesting. So we get something fed into the feedback mixer after the pitch shifting is done. That's very interesting. All right, next one. This is dual delay with cross feedback. Now, basically what happens here is that pitch 2 gets fed directly to the left and the right output of the pedal, but pitch 1 and pitch 3 get fed back to left and right, and then they get cross-fed back into a feedback mixer of the other one. So this should be very interesting. As you can hear, the harmony effect is very, very different this time. Let's tune that to chromatic. Ooh, that's kind of dreamy. Let's add a little bit more feedback to that. So there you go, another example of why it's smart to have a control like the key on a pedal like the Hydra or any other harmonizer. Just being able to, if something doesn't sound quite right, turn that knob very quickly, and then what sounds kind of weird at the outset then gets put into focus and it sounds exactly like you want it to sound. That was a great example right there of why this control is so powerful. And then finally, the last mode is dual delay. Now, I think this one is quite possibly my favorite because it kind of speaks most to me. And what this one does is that pitch 2 gets fed to the left and the right output of Hydra. Pitch 1 goes to the left side, pitch 3 goes to the right, and they each get fed back into their own delay line. So it should be much more standard, I guess you could say, much more predictable. How about that? That's a better way of putting it. Well, that's fun. Let's go ahead and tune it back to D flat and let's see what happens. No micro tune. And it gets fed back after the pitch shifting, which makes it even more interesting. Very cool. Very cool. It's, as you can see, the great part about this pedal is that everything interacts with one another. Everything kind of is all about just listening and exploring and finding the sound. The manual helps, but you'll find that you'll use the manual just to reference the kind of stuff of like, what exactly does this control do, and what is it really doing, rather than just assuming what it does. I'm having a hell of a lot of fun with it. That is for darn sure. There's a few other things that we can take a look at, but I would prefer to show you guys that in context of some musical examples. So to close out this video, I'm going to show you a few of my favorite sounds and highlight some of the cooler features that you can get out of Hydra. This first one is a pretty easy one to grasp, and I think it's probably one of my favorite secret weapon settings of Hydra. It's that it can get you a pretty great approximation of a rack chorus sound. Basically, all I'm doing here is utilizing the unison pitches across all three voices. Then I'm going to use the dual series delay mode as well as the dual mode in order to get those sounds. Those are going to have the pitch 2 going straight to the left and right outputs of the pedal. So you get a little bit of your original dry signal unaffected, but then being able to affect pitch 1 and pitch 3 with a little bit of some secret sauce, if you will. Just find that these two modes have the best possible way of getting you that sound. So let's hear the dry sound and then go to the chorused sound, if you will. I just love how switching between those two modes that I feel work best for this sound really kind of emphasize different styles of chorusing modulation. To me, the dual and series with the cross feedback, that really feels like a Dimensions style chorusing effect, whereas the dual delay feels much more like your traditional rack chorus sound. Of course, it's not really a chorus, it's all just manipulating short delay time signals, but who cares when you're having this much fun? Let's hear that with some distortion, because why not? I am a rocker at heart. I love riffs and I love soaring solos. And this is one of the modes on Hydra that I've had the most fun with when it comes to those soaring, singing lead sounds. With this particular setting, I want to show you how you can use an expression pedal to get more out of Hydra from just the one sound. Now, I'm a rocker at heart. I love riffs and I love big soaring solos. And those soaring solos are kind of what this setting is all about. I start in the dual delay mode with my unison pitch on the left and right side being sunk in 1-to-1 with my tap tempo. I have the feedback just ever so slightly turned up for just a little bit more dimension, and the mix turned down to be just like a little bit more subtle delay. But when I go to the toe down position, that's where the magic comes in. I blend in a -1 octave that is sunk almost instantly to my original pitch. Then I turn up the delay feedback for a little bit more to carry me out and a little bit more mix so that you really hear that low octave. Basically, just so I can have a low octave playing alongside of me harmony-wise in the guitar solo. Let's check it out. I've created this sound that has basically a minor triad with a fifth below, a minor third, and then a fifth above. Now I'm using the series delay mode here, so basically everything's gonna get fed back into the feedback loop after it gets pitch shifted. I've tuned it to E flat minor specifically and added in some of the glide because quite frankly, this is just a sound that makes you want to get weird. So let's check it out. This last sound is just a messed up delay sound that I want to show you guys one of my favorite features of Hydra with, the built-in auto swell. By pressing and holding down on the tap tempo switch, you get that automatic volume swell thing going on. Now I've just created something that just really sounds messed up with the cross feedback delay, and this is at its most basic how it sounds. But when I press and hold on the tap tempo foot switch, it's something else entirely. And there you have it, my friends. That is the Hydra pitch shifting delay box of magical wizardry from the cats at Meris. So, does a rocker like me have something to get out of a pedal like this? Absolutely. I love that soaring delay sound with that added on low octave harmony. It's just kind of a nice little thing to be able to change up your normal sound every once in a while and give it something else entirely. At the end of the day, I find this box endlessly inspiring because just when I think I've figured everything out and have found all the sounds that I could possibly want from it, this goes ahead and finds a new sound for me, just by the turn of, sometimes the accidental turn, of one knob. There's so much built into it that you could very easily have this on your board, hook it up to MIDI, and conjure up different sounds from a very standard delay sound to that rack chorus kind of setting that we came up with, to just crazy, messed up, pitch bendy, harmonizery goodness. And quite frankly, it's pedals like this that challenge our preconceived notions, that challenge us as players, as musicians, and as composers to find new sounds that are the ones that I find myself enjoying the most these days. So, Meris, thank you so much for sending me the Hydra. I have had an absolute blast with it. I don't feel like I know everything that it does, but I feel like I know enough about it in order to be able to make some music, and hopefully you guys will be hearing some of that music sooner rather than later. And in the meantime, I would love to know what you guys thought of the Meris Hedra and my demo of it. Let me know in the comments section below, and when you see it, please click the subscribe button and ring that bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. But if you'd like to see every video before everyone else in the world and get some access to exclusive content as well, please consider going over to my Patreon page and becoming a patron today. You'll find a link for that in the description below. As always, I love that you have chosen to spend part of your day with me. I always love to have you here in the studio and hang out with you guys. Until next time, my friends, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, and I wish you all out there great tone and happy stomping. Cheers, everybody.